What up, what up, what up? Going parabolic. About to get it. This is going to be a good one today. Got a good friend. We're going to talk about, economics and political stuff, hopefully. Super smart. So you'll like this. There she is. What's up, Layah?
Hey, how are you doing?
How's it going?
Good. How can I watch, I always mess this up. I never get to see the comments whenever it's live. So I need to go to YouTube, right?
No, this is actually, this is a pre-recorded or recording this one. So when I go live with it, I will live chat with people. So there's different rants and iterations of it. The going parabolic coffee edition, and that's what you're on right now, is a way more chill type environment. What I'm trying to do is get to know and introduce people who I think are real influencers in the space. And I don't just want to talk about Bitcoin. I'm on a kind of mission to simplify Bitcoin. It's like a big word salad and super complex. All I want people to understand is Bitcoin's the best money you can engage with. And once you get red pilled with this money thesis of Bitcoin, it just becomes so real. Like, why would I keep sterling, or why would I keep US dollars when the government's just gaming it against us in so many ways? You're already working hard, you're trading your life for dollars, and then you're made to go and invest it like you're some investment professional, so you can hope to retire. It's not enough that you traded your whole life to get money.
Oh yeah,
that should be enough, right?
100%. When you tweeted that, I never saw it, but I saw the tweet that you did about it, and you were like, "This should have flown off the walls" or whatever. But you're totally right. But it's sort of, I don't know whether you want to go down this route, but it sort of also reminded me of taxes, in that you pay your income tax, done, but then you pay tax on that, and then you pay tax on that, and then when you die, you pay tax on everything you pay tax on, being inheritance tax.
True.
So yeah, I mean, that's literally what sprung to mind immediately. But yeah, you're totally right. The average person has to be some sort of investment guru, or you spend the money on a financial advisor and they do that for you. But then again, you need to know that you need to do that, right? Not everybody does. And honestly, the only reason why I even know about financial advisors is because growing up, my dad had a financial advisor. Do you know what I mean? So What if people didn't have that? They don't teach you that in schools either. I mean, I could go on, but
this was actually, again, I prepare very little for these because I want this to be an organic discussion. But one of the things I do want to start off with, with you is, Layah, were you financially prepared to deal with life by your schooling? And I don't know to what extent you've gone to school. I would expect you've gone all the way through university. But have you been prepared to make financial decisions by your schooling?
Oh, absolutely not. I don't know anybody that has, honestly. I remember the first time I paid tax, from actual income tax. And as a journalist, I was freelancing at the time. So it wasn't it was a flat fee that would be deducted every month if you were in a full-time position. It was kind of there would be emergency tax where they'd get your tax code wrong, and then you'd have to call up. So in the UK, we have HMRC. And what do you guys call it? Inland Revenue or something? I don't know. So yeah, so I have to call them up, and I was chasing them for nearly a year just to get a couple of £100 back. And I didn't understand. And I was on the phone to them, they were like, "Oh, you need your P60 or something like that. What you're given." No, so we get a P45 when we leave work, but we get a P60 with all the finances. So you take that to your next employer, it'll tell you how much tax you pay. I'm like, "What the hell is a P60?" I was like, I was like, I can't, can I get it from them? I wasn't fully like employed. It was just freelance. Do they even offer that? So no, to answer your question.
Yeah, I mean, we have the same thing. You kind of are a 1099 or a K1, and you get these at the end of the year, and you're made to put together this very complex tax like roadmap. And if you don't do it right, there are huge liabilities. But beyond though, understanding finance, like how well were you prepared for this kind of journey of going out, getting a job, and eventually earning enough to retire? I mean, I was kind of, I guess I bought into this phenomenon that when you're a poor kid or middle-class kid or a rich kid, you go to college and you hope to get a highly paying job that will provide you benefits and eventually a great lifestyle that allows you to vacation, do the things, and have the things that you want. That's just not true. Like I at this point in my life, I don't believe that going to college equates to any of that stuff. So, I mean, but is it different in Europe?
No, so it's actually really interesting. So I spent 3 months in America, and I found, this was when I was probably around 18 or 19. So I was hanging around with kids who were making that decision to go to college. And I sort of said to them, oh no, like some of my friends, they didn't go to university. And they were like, what? That is absurd of in America. So I think that is, not going to university in the UK is risky. I don't think it is, but it's kind of, people think of it as risky. But it's more so in America. So less people, I would say, if you were sort of to look at the ratios, would go to university. I think there's less pressure on it here. But I mean, you absolutely don't need to go to university unless, you want to be a medic, a lawyer, and so on and so on. I mean, that goes without saying. I'm not even going to get into that. That's obvious. But I think the problem is we've created a kind of system, right, whereby you cannot get a job unless you have a degree. And so it means you then have to go to university just to have that, that letter after your name.
But
it's so ridiculous.
What does it represent to employers, the degree?
It represents that, you're a hard worker. It's just levels, isn't it? Like, oh, you're not a dropout at 16. It's so silly. And like, for me, honestly, let's talk about journalism for a second, because that's my background. That's what I do. I did not need to go to university. I can't stress that enough. And I think it's the biggest ripoff, but I cannot get a job in traditional journalism. Not that I'm necessarily doing that now anyway. But I can't do that. Unless I have a degree. Now, what they should have done is created apprenticeship schemes whereby you have to do a lot of work to get on this apprenticeship scheme. You've got to write that personal statement, you've got to get those grades and so on. I'm all for that. You're not just going to let anyone on any old apprenticeship scheme. As hard as it is to get into university, should be as hard as it is to get onto that apprenticeship scheme. And you don't need to pay for those. Like, absolutely not. I think we've sort of got ourselves into the most ridiculous cycle. And I remember saying when I was leaving school how old do you leave school? 16, 17, going to university. And I'd said to the woman who was sort of in charge of our school year, I said to her, I don't know if I want to go to university, and she was just like, it's a very, very bad decision. And I was like, is it? And I wasn't so eloquent at the time, not that I'm so eloquent now either, but I remember I said to her, yeah, I think university is only really for, and I used the word thick, which is the wrong word. I said for doing like a thick job. It's me at like 17, sort of trying to get my words out. And I meant hardcore, like science, medicine, and, law and so on. But it came across in another, anyway. So even schools are disencouraging leaving.
Yeah, like I'll tell you, I love your point about and using journalism or being a writer as an example. Mentorship or finding an apprenticeship is more valuable potentially than going through some process, a 4-year degree, to prove I don't quit, right? So really the quality of the person is being measured in both environments, right? If you go to some university that's not high quality, there are admission standards, whatever, people are constantly using these to categorize you, right? If you go to a third tier college versus an Ivy League college versus what have you. I mean, even Zuby, he throws out like, I'm an Oxford grad. all the time. And I always kind of scratch my head about that. Like, I actually like you, Zuby, for the things that you say and the things that you do and the person that you are.
Yeah, but
Being
I think
Oxford grad is like, why are you doing that? It would be
because,
it's interesting.
I'm with you. You're totally right. But okay, so like in the States, your universities cost different prices, right? Depending whether you go in-state or out of state, or which university you go to, college or whatever. Mm-hmm. So in the UK, they're all the same. So I think you don't pay more money to go to Oxford. To get into Oxford or Cambridge is like insanely difficult, and they ask for a certain kind of candidate. So I think like I do understand why he would say that, because I mean he gets a lot of people attack him a lot. So it's kind of like they call him dumb, and he's like, I'm just not dumb. Like I went to Oxford. Do you know what I mean? I didn't even apply to Oxford.
But Layah, in 2 seconds of interaction with Zuby, you know he's not dumb.
Of course, but people.
So I just find it. I don't know. Look,
I hear you.
Wear it. Wear the patch. I'm not saying don't. He's just so smart, so sharp. It's just everything about him is super cool. I just like, why the Oxford thing? Because I'm telling you, there's a line of people that aspire to be like Zuby that are like, I got to go to Oxford.
Yeah, so maybe he could make that.
Is that the bar?
Right.
I didn't get into Oxford.
Not at all. And I think he maybe. There's just so much justification. Like people need to chill out. I think like the point is he's just trying to make a statement. Like, you think I'm dumb? I went to Oxbridge. Leave it at that, right? He's obviously not saying you need to go to Oxbridge, being Cambridge and Oxford, by the way. Right. Those two, yeah. Okay.
Oxford. I love it.
Yeah. So, he's obviously not saying if you want to be like me, you have to go to Oxford. I mean, like, I've never seen that in his thing. He will always say, if you want to be like me, get my book, health, fitness, listen to my podcast. There's no like.
Right.
But I understand there is that.
Is he a different person if he didn't go to Oxford? Mm-mm. Like, I mean, look, there's probably some evolution or maturity or something that happens just over time. Is that trajectory changed because of Oxford? I'd be interested to hear his point. I wonder if he'd say yes. Like, I'm a different person because of that experience.
What do you mean? What's your... because of Oxford?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I definitely, every life experience will shape you. I'm a different kind of person from my experience. I went to the University of Leeds, which is in the north of England. So that's going to change your experience as well. Some people do, like, everything changes your experience, doesn't it? I've lived abroad. That changed my experience. I'm sure he might have been a different person if he went to the university I went to compared to Oxford. I mean, you just don't know, do you?
Right. But, again, I'm one to quickly say college and university may not be necessary.
Agreed.
Right. But I also want to be thoughtful enough to recognize that experiences shape us. And that's really what makes us who we are. I believe like little babies aren't evil. They're like little tape recorders, and they just kind of evolve. And
can I give you an idea on that?
Yeah, please.
Okay,
because that actually kind of flies in the face of some religious beliefs.
Yeah, so yeah, also true. Okay, so I was going to tweet this the other day, and I was like, do you know what? Number one, is it on brand? Number two, do I want to go down this route? Number three, whatever. So essentially, like, it's a very unpopular opinion, but the opinion is that maybe we've spoken about this, I'm not sure, but the opinion is that racism is learned, right? I think babies are born a blank slate. I do think so. Now, is discrimination learned? No. So I think we are hardwired to discriminate for evolutionary purposes. So it all for me, everything comes down to your survival instincts. And, we are more likely to stick with our own because we need to be in packs for survival reasons, because you're more likely to survive in that. Sure. If you see somebody bigger...
That's so easy to modulate. I mean, if you took a child who had never encountered a silverback gorilla, it's discriminating the situation, and it's fearful.
Exactly.
I mean, and I love what you've just said. racism.
So I don't think racism is, so that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think we are hardwired to hate.
Yeah,
No,
it's not.
No,
Right.
it's not.
So
But hardwired to discriminate based on anything.
Of course.
Not colored skin, but anything else.
Fire, dangerous animals, like standing at the edge of a building.
Tall people, fat people,
right.
You're afraid, are they gonna,
Sure. Yeah, I love it. But you and I don't agree. I think there was a point in some discussions where you may have said you don't believe racism existed.
No, I take that back. I do think it exists. Okay. Let me eat my biscuit.
No, that's fine. And I love that about you. I absolutely, at any point that I say something, I reserve the right to change my mind. If somebody comes up with gosh,
it's not even,
don't stand your ground on something that maybe have been inaccurate or just misspoken.
Definitely misspoken. Of course, racism exists. Discrimination exists. Racism exists. Sexism exists. Everything exists. I think what I was saying was I don't think it's as bad as we're taught to believe. So let me explain. So I don't know what's going on in America. You guys seem to have this race war. It seems to be going on for a very long time. So in the UK, we don't have that, okay? In the UK, black and white people, we're good. We get on. It would break my heart for us not to. Like, I've never grown up in a world where black and white people don't get on. Like, especially in London, where I'm from. Like, it's the most multicultural community. Like, we don't have black and white people. We're not angry at each other here.
But why?
No, it's not why. We're not, okay? Now, the thing is, when this George Floyd thing happened, we tend to see, not just with George Floyd, but in general, we tend to see a lot of Americanization, whereby we adopt a lot of the bad stuff of yours. We don't adopt the good stuff, but we adopt the bad stuff. And we started to see on the streets of London, black and white people going at it. That is not what we're about here. And we've never been about that. And it was really, really sad to see. So what I'm saying is,
Layah, I would have to challenge. I would have to challenge that. I'm a big sports guy. I played soccer all over the world. And racism is prevalent.
It exists
in Europe.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I've seen horrible displays of racism against professional players, black players.
I'm not saying it doesn't exist.
Okay. And the powder keg of an event like the murder of George Floyd, which unfortunately I watched the video, and it was a display of a man who lacked all humanity, because just an adjustment of his body position could have saved this man's life. And it was disgusting and really sad. But I'm very interested in why you think, or why you're saying that black and white folks are okay with each other in Europe or London. I just want to learn. Not that they're not okay here. It doesn't feel like people are okay. It feels like in America, it's more kind of divided than ever. And we're going in the wrong direction.
Okay, so in the UK, we don't have that. Like, look, listen, in Europe, yes, there's discrimination. Everybody's discriminated. Jews are discriminated against. White people are discriminated. Muslims are the worst. Muslims get the worst of it in Europe, in my opinion. I'm not saying black people aren't discriminated against. What I'm saying is it's not as bad, the racial wars between whites and blacks in the UK as it is in America. Trust me, I've seen, I live here, you know, it's just not. So it was really sad to see this. And racism exists in football. Of course it does. We've seen that. We've heard awful stuff. But we've also heard people hissing for Jews, to present, gas chambers and so on and so on. Look, the world is awful. Yep. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm just saying, like, the black and white communities, we're not angry at each other. There are issues with, there are issues with racism and so on and so on. But black and white people are not at each other's throats here, and I'm happy that they're not. Like, I have loads of black friends. I've worked with a lot of black people in the UK, in London, and there's no issue. We're good. We're really fine.
I'm going to continue on this path, but change the direction a little bit. So in the English Premier League.
Sorry, I'm chewing.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Eat, drink. Like I said, this is going
Instead,
parabolic.
coffee.
This is that's right.
Tea.
That's it. In the English Premier League right now, before every game, all the players are taking a knee, all the coaches are taking a knee. They're recognizing Black Lives Matter. You can see some of the black athletes raising a fist to make statements. And I saw something that happened recently that was really interesting. There's been an announcement by the EPL that they're going to invest money and time in promoting Black coaches to raise to the level of head coaches, because they're underrepresented per their own analysis. So this question to you is one of, when you look at businesses, when you look at segments of your economy, when you look at women, men, Black, white, Latino, what have you, do you feel like we should be hiring to make sure we have enough whites and Blacks and women?
Okay.
I'll stop there.
Understood. I knew where you were going with that. Okay, so I'm going to answer this in the most simple way possible, because we could go on and on. At the end of the day, I believe in a system of meritocracy. And that's just it. That's all I have to say about that. I believe in a system of meritocracy. I don't believe in hiring someone because of the color of their skin. I think that's actually really offensive, actually. I also think it's not very productive from a business perspective anyway. I don't think you should hire someone based on their gender. Again, very condescending, very offensive. Also potentially quite detrimental for the business if you're hiring somebody just based on their exteriors rather than what they can actually offer, what kind of value they can offer. And I would never, ever fight discrimination with further discrimination. I just think it's terrible. I think you're perpetuating the problem. You're alienating a whole another group of people. And really, you're causing divisions, whether it be between women and men or Black and white people, honestly. And that is what we're failing to understand. You're pissing off a whole group of people that you're trying to win over by alienating them so you can support another load of people. Like, I can't, again, we spoke about this, I will not speak for Black people. I would refuse to do that. But I can speak from a female perspective, and I will not shit on men to bring myself up. I refuse to wear women are the future. I'm not doing that. We are, as humans, we are the future. I'm not wearing female empowerment. I'll wear human empowerment. I have no interest in alienating another group of people, because that's what's happened. That's what we're seeing right now. We are seeing white men take the brunt of it. Honestly, you know, when I was working in, I can't speak for the entire world, but when I was working in London, this was when I was quite young, I was trying to like rise up and so on and so on. And I spoke to this white male. He was one of the leading presenters. And I said to him, how did you do it? Like, how did you get there? And so on. And he was telling me that he now needs to look for another job, or he needs to develop skills in another area, because as a white male, he is now no longer employable on TV. They want somebody like me who's female and I'm a little bit brown for whatever reason. You know, they want somebody like me. And cool, that's great for me. But also, I don't want that. I don't want to be hired for that reason. This poor guy is like, I've got to now change my entire skill set. I've got to innovate because they won't have me because I'm a white male. I mean, that's discrimination, and I won't have that.
Yeah, but I want to be steeped in objectivity, and I know that when you look at here in the United States, men, if you look at compensation models for a job position and you look at women versus men get paid.
You want to get into the pay gap with me?
Right. So
I'll do it.
The pay thing is one though, Layah, but I would say to you that discrimination exists. We have a cancel culture going on right now. We've got horrible hiring practices that have been exposed here in the United States where men have abused their power and have done horrible things. So I don't want to be tone deaf to the realities of what's going on. And I appreciate the strength to which you're approaching this, I feel like there still needs to be some sensitivity here to allow people access through these barriers of discrimination.
Yeah, so here's a really interesting idea for you, and I don't think you're going to like it, okay? You ready?
Yeah, hit me with it.
Okay, hang on. Actually, I'm just going to quickly change my Wi-Fi. It might freeze for like half a second. So
Hey, if you're
just give me
listening
a
to
sec.
this
This
and
is much better Wi-Fi.
yeah, no worries, no worries. If you like what you're hearing, subscribe, hit the notifications, follow Layah on Twitter. She's awesome.
Thanks.
And
I'm back.
go on Parabolic Coffee. It's just coffee. All right. You remember where we were?
Yeah. Am I on? We're working. Can you? Everything's good. Okay.
Yeah, your Wi-Fi's been great.
Yeah, good. Got a new one, but you never know which one to choose. Okay, so here we go. So this is about how to fight discrimination. So here's a little idea. Milton Friedman, I'm a fan. And I know people hate when you quote dead economists, but hey ho, here we go. He said that this is his idea about the gender pay gap. He essentially said that say me and you, Jason, we're going for a job. Let's pretend we're the same age and we have the exact same experience. And let's say Mr. Smith is deciding whether or not to hire us. Now, Mr. Smith is an absolute sexist pig, right? So he just prefers you. Despite the fact that you and I have the exact same experience, I might even be better, who knows? But he's just a sexist pig. Anyway, the job is for easy numbers, it says 100 grand a year. That's what he's offering. Now, I'm completely ruled out, okay? I'm completely ruled out because he just doesn't like me. And that's it. Now I'm screwed. Now I don't have a job. Now I'm stuck. Now what do? I can go to the next person, but he's also a sexist pig and he won't have me either. Now I'm completely ostracized. How do I get on the ladder? Okay. What can I do? What can I use? Where is my leverage? Right? My leverage is I say, hang on, because we don't have a law regarding discrimination and pay gaps and so on, I can say, I'll do it for 95 grand a year. Okay. Now, I don't have to take that job. I could just choose to work for myself and build. But I now have a weapon. And if he wants to hire you, even though I'm offering 95 grand, right? He's saving 5 grand a year, even though I'm offering 95 grand. If he hires you, he now has to bear the cost of being a racist or discriminatory pig, basically. Now, so with these laws that we keep implementing, which say you have to do this, you have to do that, you are taking away somebody's weapon. And I don't want anyone to take away my leverage. Leverage is all we have, to fight our battles. And I want that leverage. That is business. That is how you hustle. That is how you come in and you say, I'll do it for this. I don't like it, but the world isn't perfect. And I think that's where you and I differ, because you think we can reach this idealistic world. I don't think we ever can.
Yeah, Layah, again, I think that this problem existed for so long that this race to the bottom philosophy or thesis is really sad to me.
It is.
Because
it's not ideal.
Underselling yourself.
I don't have to work there though.
Well, let me finish. Work in an environment that could be dangerous, right? And you don't have to work there. But it appears that over and over again, this environment needs rules and structure, because it's just a landmine. It's filled with landmines. It's really sad. And I know you don't feel comfortable speaking for minorities or other ethnicities, but I fear that they face the same kind of discrimination that women do.
Yeah, I mean, of course, but I think what we seem to forget is, because we're in 2020 and we have all this technology and, we're not living in the jungle anymore, we really forget that this is still the jungle. This is still the survival of the fittest. Yep. And that's just it, I think we forget that. Like, you can't live in an ideal world. You have to do what you have got to do to get where you want to be. Yeah.
See, and I think that there's one aspect of this that we're leaving out that was my own solution to this kind of situation, and that was create my own job.
Exactly.
And I think that's what you did, right? You're an entrepreneur, and
I'm doing something. Yeah, no labels. I'm just doing something.
Yeah, you're doing something, and it's special. But I wonder if that's how you dealt with, because I don't know if you've been a victim of any of this type of.
No, shall I tell you? Shall I tell you something? Please. So this is really funny. People often say, oh, you're female, so you're going to get discriminated against. I can absolutely tell you, I have never in my life not got something because I'm female.
No, but you have been. You have been discriminated against. You've been used as a tool. And I didn't get a chance to talk to you about this because it really bothered me. You know, when you show up to a nightclub in London and you say to me, I don't ever wait on the line and I get to go in and I never buy a drink because I'm hot. Just a hot chick. And the guys have to pay $2,000 or $1,000.
Yeah. So let me finish. Yeah. No.
So they can exist around you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's life. So, yeah, shit, of course it is. What I'm saying is I've never lost an opportunity because I'm female. I've never had any negative discrimination. Anything that I've lost in my life is because I haven't been good enough, or I'm not old enough or experienced enough. I've been sexualized and objectified and so on, but I haven't ever lost, but they've still given me an opportunity to prove that I'm more than just a pretty face, right? Trust me, I've had, like, I used to work for a company where absolutely fucking gross.
Right.
There was a lot of sexual natured comments in the office and stuff, but it didn't stop me. But they still knew that I was smart to do the job. You know, it didn't affect my work. Now, you're exactly right to bring up the comment about being in a nightclub. So that point that's called female privilege, right? Because everybody is discriminated against. Everybody has a form of privilege. Like, if you want to mention Zuby, I was speaking with Zuby the other day. He was saying that he has black privilege because when you become a rapper in that scene, he's taken more, he doesn't have to prove himself to the extent that a white person would have to. He was telling me how Eminem was like the first person to really sort of break down the idea that white people can't be rappers, but he just naturally gets more respect as a black person. So he's got black privilege, right? We all have different privileges, and we are all discriminated against. I don't have to pay a penny if I go to a nightclub in London. I don't do that anymore, actually, because it's kind of gross, to be honest. But, you know, when I was like 17, 18, 19 even, you know, I didn't pay a penny. And yes, the men would put down $2,000 just to be there.
Yeah. You know, again, it's something that, you know, I just find interesting from a socio-dynamic perspective, and how people treat you. It's a very
me as a female.
Yeah, like how you're treated as you move throughout the day.
It's fascinating. I mean, have you seen how I'm treated on crypto Twitter? It's absolute trash. But I don't care. I'm busy.
But I don't understand that. Like, I don't get.
Somebody took a picture of my chest, right? They literally, like, look at me sitting here right now. This is me. This is what I look like, right? It's hot. I'm wearing a vest top. Yep. Somebody took a picture of literally this part of me and posted it on one of my comments, like on one of my tweets. Like, and then I turned around to him and I said, "What are you doing? Yeah. This is really disgusting. Please delete it." And he deleted it. You know,
right.
It was an anonymous account.
Right, but who knows? Yeah, because I mean, when we first met, you seemed to have a lot of I won't call it anxiety, but reservation because of your experience maybe in these interviews or collaborative type situations.
Anxiety about doing these interviews. Yeah. Yes, I did. Yeah. And I'm all right now, to be honest. Yeah, I did. It's because I didn't trust anyone. I still don't really trust anyone.
Why?
Because, like I said, we're living in a jungle. Let's not forget that. It's survival of the fittest. People are here to tear each other down. Trust me. I've seen what women have said about me. Like, I've seen what men have said about me. Some guy was just like, "Oh, she's just reciting what she's heard." Why am I reciting what I've heard? But why are you not reciting what you've heard? Why? Because I'm female.
Yeah. Well, I would say almost everything that I think about is
everything is recitement.
Something I've learned. So, you know, you want me to cite everything that I think is kind of crazy, but yeah, you know,
excitement.
These things are so challenging, and I commend you for having the courage that you have. And I would say this to you, if you're a white man, black woman, whatever, to live and to be positive and to try to make change as an individual. That's really important to me, that there are people standing up and they're not, you know, buying into this hate and perpetuating all this violence. And I really appreciate kind of you, because I think you really do subscribe to like kindness and love, and you feel like that's strong.
You think?
I think so.
You think? See, even that, you think that because you're more on the left, you have a monopoly over that kind of ideology.
Oh, wait.
You do, because of course I subscribe to love and
Hold on.
kindness.
More on the left in what way?
Okay, I'm look, because like I'm more libertarian, you're not, you're more about like X, Y, and Z. Listen, because you know we clearly differ, like when it comes to politics, which is obviously completely fine.
Right.
Like zero, you know, it's not a problem. But you think that I subscribe to love and kindness. Of course I do. But you think that because you're more like this and I'm more like that, you have a monopoly over caring about those things. So you think that I do as well. Of course I do. It's obvious.
Yeah.
I just go about it differently. I have different tactics.
Right. No, and maybe I misspoke in regards to that. There is so much kind of hate, and that hate is so strong. And in America, you know, I believe that hate has been personified in politics and has divided us in an extreme way. And it's very sad. Like, you know, I think it would be very hard for you to accurately tell me what my political beliefs are.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to give you a point in that, you know,
Yeah.
we differ.
And words are important.
Yeah.
Words are important. So if I don't use the right words,
I'm just trying to make a point. Look, I'm just trying to make a point because when you talk about like, it's very annoying because in the UK and even in the States, you know, the parties on the right, whether it be the Conservative Party or the Republicans, are always the nasty party compared to the Democrats and Labour. They always have a monopoly on love and kindness and all this stuff. It's bullshit. No,
Yeah.
they do not.
Yeah.
And I think that like really gets under my skin when like the left think that they have a monopoly. It's like, you don't. We just do things differently. And what the love is on the right, think of it, let's make this super simplistic. It's tough love. That's what you have on the right.
Yeah. I actually am having trouble in America, in American politics, like understanding what the initiatives are of the parties at this point. I don't see the Democrats as this kind of love and kumbaya and group. I see them as filled with hate and anger. And then I look to the right, I see the exact same thing. And it's really just one hot take after another, and who can make one group look bad. And I wish there was an alternative, because there really isn't here in America. You know, I don't even know who I would vote for in the coming election. It's a very sad time. And we've been in this situation for a while, unfortunately. But you know, I can only imagine. I mean, is it similar in the UK?
Yeah, like I said, we take all your bad bits. Yeah, it is. I'm totally and utterly partyless. It's exactly the same. What we have is the left are going so far to the left, and then we have like the right actually moving more and more left. You know, because they're trying to portray a different kind of image. Because, like I said, politics isn't taught. Political ideologies aren't taught. People don't understand the benefits of different types of policies, which on the surface might seem negative. You know, if we want to, for example, just, I don't want to get too deep in, I mean, we can, but for example, like a minimum wage, you know, it sounds really beautiful on the surface, you know, let's up it to £17, $20, you know.
Yes.
It's not necessarily a good idea. Oh, can you still hear? Yeah, it's not necessarily a good idea, but people don't necessarily understand why that's not a good idea.
Well, why is increasing the minimum wage not a good idea? And if you'll also comment on universal basic income.
Okay. So, I'm not going to comment on universal basic income because I don't know enough about it. I probably am against it.
Think about it as this, that everyone gets a base salary, whether you're working or not. We're going to send everyone a check so that everyone makes £20,000 a year.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I'm probably and definitely against it. Yeah, because I'm not a socialist at all. So what we're talking about, minimum wage. Okay. So again, it's not a simple one. So here we go. So I'll try to keep it as like simple as possible. So minimum wage.
This is all crypto. If people don't think.
Yes, thank you.
All these things that we're talking about are not about Bitcoin, you're missing it totally.
That's why I love you. That is why I'm here, you know. Yeah, you get it. So it's cool. So essentially minimum wage. Okay, some people, right, let's up it to $20 an hour, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
You, again, it's, oh my God, it's such a long one. Okay, you lose your weapon. You and I were the same age. Let's say you're black, I'm white, and you so many reasons you lose your weapon. So basically, look, you don't have much, forget color for a sec, actually. You don't have as much experience as I have, right? Now you will not get the job because you are not worth $20. How are we going to get people on the ladder? We are ostracizing like the poorest of the poorest. You can't get on the ladder at all because you are not worth $20. I'm sorry. You don't have a college degree, you know. Also, potentially, I'm a racist.
You're going to have people with like master's degrees working as waitresses getting paid $20 an hour. And then the person who has a limited life experience hasn't had the opportunities that you have.
You remove the hustle.
They will never get the
hustle. Exactly. You remove the hustle. Like, I'm sorry, I'm starting, and also I'm starting, let's say I'm starting a business, okay? I'm starting a business. I don't have a lot of money. Not done my ICO. So don't have a lot of money. And it's a theatre business, let's just say. And I need to hire 2 people. Now, I don't want to hire somebody who is just not worth $20. I will have to hire the person that is worth it. But at the same time, right, this also comes down to like forcing different types of wages and pay gap and so on and so on. Imagine if you were, let's say you were a black kid or whatever, and you are demanding I pay you X amount of money. I'm just not going to even hire you. Like, you have no chance because I don't have that much money to give you. I don't have it. And also, it's very fascinating. Let's just say I want to start a business, right? This is my favorite part of it. Let's say I want to start a business and I have to hire people because I need the help, but I have to charge them $20 an hour. I can't afford that as a business person. So now I'm flat on my ass and I can't even start a business.
Yep.
I cannot start a business.
Right. Or.
So wait, sorry. So it affects the businessman.
Well, that's what I was just going to say.
The people.
Sure. Well, it really affects the people because if I'm so compelled to start that business, I have to jack the price of my goods and services up.
Exactly. So you can pay for it. So you can afford those wages. Exactly. I missed that point. That's exactly right.
Inflation, right? Now you're getting this trickle down inflation because the government's mandated some wage inflation. Now I have to inflate my prices to deal with it. But where's the money coming from? It's the destruction of money.
And exactly. And so what we see is, you know, it's just the system of, it's like a Ponzi scheme. The money is just going round and round and round. And so we say, oh, well, you know, we should all get that universal basic income plus how much we make, so that I can afford the minimum wage of $20. It's ridiculous.
All right. But you know, I hate to.
And then we'll hire the taxes so that people can afford. It's just the money going around in circles.
Look, it's an extraordinarily well articulated position. There are massive issues here in the United States where there are populations of African Americans who have like zero net worth. They are so overwhelmed with debt and lack or have not had the opportunity or taken the opportunity to acquire assets. And it's actually shocking that you would see, you know, a first world country like the United States where people can't afford to eat or can't afford to buy basic things or live in a way or in a standard that you would expect. So I guess some of these universal basic income strategies or increasing minimum wage are to try to solve for that.
I understand. I understand exactly what they're to try to solve for, but I just don't think it's the answer. Again, I would tackle it from a different perspective, you know.
I love it. All right. So let's talk a little bit about Bitcoin and then how people can find you on social media, because you're absolutely blowing up, and I'm so happy.
Do you think?
Oh yeah, I mean, when we
I need to do more.
when we first met, we were joking that, you know, the price of Bitcoin was the amount of followers you had. So when you had like 9,000, 9,100, we were like, let's keep making this thing go. And now you've got 12,000, 15,000, who knows how many. So Bitcoin's certainly not tracking with Layah's social media, which is kind of, but we'll see. We'll see. So tell me what you've been working on most recently, and if it's crypto or Bitcoin, I'm interested to learn.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so at the moment, I'm trying to grow my personal brand at the moment. And I want that to be Bitcoin, crypto, and so on, just because, you know, I'm very much into politics, and that's kind of the root from it. Positivity, encouragement, and so on and so on. You know, I do a lot of, I host the Altcoin Buzz podcast. So you guys obviously come over and watch that. It's a lot of fun. We often get some really exciting guests. Funny thing to say, actually, we had Charles Hoskinson on, which was amazing. But I just, like, you know, human error, like, you're just not perfect. So I edit all my own stuff. And it was the longest interview I've ever done. It was almost an hour. And I edit it, like, it's very, very technical the way it's done. And I made a mistake in the edit. And I just can't breathe thinking about it.
What mistake did you make?
So basically, the show starts off with like a fun clip of him saying, you know, oh, it's going to be great. Da, 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 da. And then it's like bang straight in with me being like, hey guys, welcome to the program, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
But because I do like a long paragraph of an introduction, I read it line by line. So I'll be like, hey, welcome to Altcoin Buzz. My name is Layah. On the show, we speak to this person. Pause. Then I read. Next one. Okay. Joining us today is, anyway, I forgot to take out those little pauses. So it's like me. So it's me like sitting there. No, it's me sitting like, hey, welcome to Altcoin Buzz. On this show today.
Oh no. I'm gonna have to go check that out. But let me say something.
I can't breathe.
we at Going Parabolic, our team here, we never make errors in terms of our editing. This is a top-notch team of professionals at Going Parabolic Coffee and our ranch.
What is it? Zoom? Is Zoom your professionals?
We have a ton of Going Parabolic professionals here that are working behind the scenes.
AKA Zoom.
This quality content come to you. Don't forget that. Subscribe, hit the notice, you know, make sure you like, send it to your friends. All right.
Plug it.
That's right. We got to go. Going Parabolic. Tell me a little bit about TikTok and your Bitcoin stuff. I'm noticing you're using TikTok as a medium to do like the 5 things you love about Bitcoin or something like that. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, this is really fascinating. It'll be great to hear your thoughts actually on this as well. So look, like if you're smart, you're on TikTok. Right? That's it. Number 1, if you're smart, you're on TikTok. Number 2, I've heard people, women particularly, say Bitcoin doesn't need TikTok. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, you don't know anything. Like, I'm sorry, TikTok was the most downloaded app of 2019. Crazy. If you're smart, you're on TikTok. If you want mass adoption, you're on TikTok. That's sort of where it starts and ends. But the fun thing is that TikTok's really cool because it's 60 seconds max, right? So some of the stuff is 15 seconds, but it's 60 seconds max. And so it forces you to condense these ideas into very, very small sound bites. Now, what people forget is they tend to get very offended and very emotional over the fact that their favorite Bitcoin fact wasn't in there. And you know, someone said to me, why don't you like add the white paper? And I'm just like, the white paper in 60 seconds? You do it. You show me that you can do that. Because if you can, then I stand corrected, mate. Like, you know. Right. So, you know, look, like and that is how we're going to get mass adoption, through 60-second clips. Like, that is just it. You know, the attention span is getting shorter and shorter. People don't read anything. People don't listen to anything. Well, they do, you know, unless they have that incentive or whatever. But if you're going to throw quick facts at someone, trust me, a lot of people that I have on Instagram are a lot of people that come from my like old world of like school and university and so on. People I met traveling, people very much outside of crypto. And they message me saying they have learned so much because I put those clips on my Instagram.
Yeah.
And they tell me that they have learned so much. And I'm like, from my clips? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, damn, can you get that in writing? Can I like put that on Twitter to tell people to shut the fuck up, you know?
And I bring this up because I think for someone who's promoting a brand like yourself, these cross-medium platforms and creating content that fits, it speaks to totally different audiences. When I'm on Facebook, I'm talking to my grandmother. When I'm on Twitter, I feel like I'm trying to get an intellectual kind of environment and it's sometimes difficult, but for me, I try to stay there. YouTube is a long form discussion, which I really enjoy. And TikTok is like, literally for me, it's like brain candy or dopamine responses.
No. So
watch like bass boosted ridiculousness. And
TikTok is very smart. So TikTok has every kind of content you want in the world. So yeah, it is that brain candy. You just keep going, and it's fun. It's so stupid. But so the algorithm watches what you watch. But if you stop swiping away from those things and you stick more on the educational stuff, there's so much brilliant stuff on that app. Like there's this woman, I can't remember her name, but she does really like inspiring stuff in literally 20 seconds, like 15 seconds. Incredible. She'll be like, how to get your colleagues to think that you're competent. Firstly, you got to do this. And then don't forget to do this. And then I'm like, cool, I'll do that. 15 seconds. Next. Then you've got the Matthew guy who's all about dating. And then he's like, women, if you want to get a man to reply to your text, this is what you need to do. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to listen for 15 more seconds. And then he's like, don't forget to add a smiley, shows that you're da-da-da-da. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna add a smiley. Next. This is actually informative stuff, whether it be dating advice, fitness advice. There's somebody, it's even blowing up. People are talking about the marshmallow idea. Do you know about it? Because that's what they're talking about on TikTok. The idea that like somebody did a study years ago and they put a marshmallow in front of kids, right? Tell me if you've heard of it. It might ring a bell. So they put a marshmallow. Oh, you don't? Okay. So they put one marshmallow in front of loads of different students, young, maybe like 10 or something. And they said, if you eat it now, you don't get a prize. But if you wait till the teacher comes back, or if you wait till the end of the lesson, I can't fully remember it, then you get a prize. And they found a direct correlation between those that waited to those that became successful in the future.
Love it.
So it's about, you get it, right? It's about
delayed gratification.
Delayed gratification, thank you. Yeah, so delayed gratification, basically. And I learned that through TikTok.
It's incredible. No, it really is incredible. I actually love TikTok for fitness advice. So I really do enjoy, diet advice, and because I'm always trying to figure out, how to optimize my own life. But all right.
Exactly.
This has been beyond what I expected. And
oh, really? How long have you been going?
Yeah, almost an hour. Cool. which is really cool. All right. Where can people find you on social?
Yeah, so it's just my name. So it's Layah, Layah, and my last name, Heilpern, Heil, P for Peter, ERN for November. And I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Facebook, but don't think it's very good. And if you want, I'm on LinkedIn.
Yeah. And are you doing any mentoring at this point of your life?
I would love to.
Good. Because it's part of the charge here. It's to connect my listeners to people who they may think could help them. How could someone reach out to you and potentially?
Yeah, please do. Yeah. I would love to. That's something I want to get into. I actually I work as a life coach outside of everything, which I've never ever mentioned to anybody.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know. I don't mention
That's cool.
it. So I work as a life coach outside of that. So if anybody wants to get in touch, you're welcome to. Again, it's just my name. You can DM me on Twitter, or my email address. It's just my name again at hotmail.com, layah@hotmail.com. So yeah, reach out to me because I have wisdom that I want to share. I want to bring you guys up. It's not about forget Margaret Thatcher once said. Margaret Thatcher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay,
I do.
I don't know about you Americans, but you don't know.
You forget I'm British.
Oh yeah, you're British. Sorry, you're British. You're probably born in her era or something, I'm sure.
Probably, or before.
Probably. Yes, probably before, actually, probably before.
That's right.
So she said there's a real issue, there's a gap between the rich and the poor, and what people keep wanting to do is bring people down to close that gap. The gap doesn't matter as long as we bring people up. As long as we're all up there, the gap can be as big as it is. It doesn't matter about the gap as long as we're all up. Yeah. So I want to bring you guys up, so feel free to reach out.
That's cool. Well, listen, enjoy the rest of your day, and thanks for coming on today. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me. Enjoy.
Bye-bye.